Hello, my name is Mike Lehew, and I serve as the Executive Director of Mobile Missions Network and lead missionary of Church Inside Out. Our church planning journey started about 2015, 16, when the Lord put a holy discontent in my life. And I'd been a family's pastor for a while, and great things were happening. We had this incredible discipleship with our kids and our students. We also had a great missional strategy, getting them outside the walls of the church. We're going to mobile home parks to share the gospel, establish relationships, and setting up actual community centers in these communities to do ministry out of. And so that holy discontent caused us to resign and step out in faith. About a month later after that, the Lord revealed to us that we were going to plant a church. And I didn't know what that actually meant. And so 5 years later, God has done a great work here. And so through our house church network, here we are 5 years later celebrating all that God has done. And what makes us a missional church is, number one, is our strategy is to be very intentional and missional, and that we tell our people that this is not a place you can just attend, but you have to be. And so our aim is to equip ordinary people to be the church. And as lead missionary, notice I said lead missionary, not lead pastor, I have the great opportunity to unearth those gifts in our people through APEST, trying to help them find out what God's gift is for them and then empower them to do that. And so the beauty of what we get to do is that I get to be that Ephesians 4, 11, and 12 pastor in empowering people. And so empowering them to be missional, empowering them to be abiding, empowering them to be a part of the church. But I always say that the most important time of our week is not Sunday. Sunday is not our Super Bowl. The most important time of the week for us is Monday through Saturday, when we go and we're missionaries to our jobs, to our schools, to our homes. And so we want mission to permeate, God's mission to permeate all of our life, and want it to be a lifestyle. And so our aim is simply to become a family of servant missionaries sent to our communities, our neighbors, and our city to make disciples who make disciples. And so we're very intentional about that, even so much so to say to people, especially if they've come from other churches, our aim is for you to not come into our church. And I know that's not the greatest church growth strategy, but we want people, especially if they've been churched, to be about our Father's business. And sure, we want people to attend, but more importantly, we want them to be a part of the mission. And so very intentional in saying, hey, you've got to have a place here to serve. You can't just attend. And so just being very intentional about that. And a couple of lessons that we learned is number one, there's a book called Be Mean About the Vision. And a friend of mine told me about that book a few years ago, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. And that's one of the things that people have tried to do. They've tried to hijack the vision. And so we as pastors and missionaries have to be mean about that vision, not in a mean sort of way, but just be very intentional and keeping that in front of the church. And so I continue to have to teach that. I continue to have to preach that so that we don't lose focus. Number two is to abide. This is the most important thing in planting missional communities and missional churches, is that we can't serve with what we don't have. And Jesus is the ultimate answer, not a Sunday school answer, but the ultimate answer for us as pastors. And so he's the fuel. He's the fuel for this thing to go. And so abiding, be mean about the vision, and loving people. Sometimes I can get so wrapped up about the work of the ministry that I forget about the people of ministry. And so that's the great thing about the missional communities, is I feel like that I'm not so much engaged with all the effort and work of the ministry, but I actually get to be alongside people in ministry. So our missional journey has been quite fantastic. It's been a crazy ride. It's been quite the adventure, and we're excited about what God's going to do next.